Please be seated. Good morning. I am Dr. Thomas Mitchell, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Welcome to this year's Freshman Convocation for the TAMIU class of 2022. Give yourself a hand. Students, do not get up and leave to your classroom until the conclusion of the ceremony. Your instructors are here anyway, and if you have a 12:40 class, you should be able to make it on time. This program should end around 12:30. Also, make sure that your cell phone is turned off or that it's on vibrate. Let me introduce to you just some of the leaders and decision makers that will help shape your intellectual and social experience over the next 4 years. When I call your name, will you please stand? But audience, please hold your applause until I've finished with the group. The leader of our university, our president, Dr. Pablo Arenas. Oh, your applause. Although he deserves applause. Right? Vice President for Student Success, Dr. Benita Ramirez. All right, go ahead, applause. Vice President for Finance and Administration, Mr. Juan Castillo. Vice President for Institutional Advancement, Ms. Roseanne Palacios. And Athletic Director, Grizz Zimmerman. Now our deans. Dean of the University College, Dr. Catherine Whiteman. Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Claudia San Miguel. Dean of the School of Nursing and Health Sciences, Dr. Glenda Walker. Dean of the College of Education, Dr. James O'Mara. Dean of the A.R. Sanchez Jr. School of Business, Dr. Steve Sears. And finally, Dean of the Graduate School, where I hope most of you will be enrolled in 5 years, Dr. Jennifer Coronado. In the interest of saving time, I will not introduce everyone else you should come to know during your 4 years with us. But I would like them to stand and be recognized as a group. Would the Associate Vice Presidents, Associate Provosts, Associate Deans, the Director of the Library, and all the department chairs please stand and be recognized? Okay. Now you can clap for all of them. Seated in the audience are the TAMIU faculty, the folks whose job it is to provoke, challenge, motivate, and inspire you in the coming 4 years. Will all of the faculty please rise and be recognized? Thank you for all that you do for Texas A&M International University and its students. Please rise and join Ms. Danielle Sanchez, TAMIU Voice student, in singing the national anthem.
Stars through the pair of the sight.
I now invite to the podium the sixth president of Texas A&M International University, your president, Dr. Pablo Arenas.
I'm not sure is it morning or afternoon yet. It still may be morning. Good morning. I'm really happy to be in this facility. We have outgrown the single largest space on campus, the Fine and Performing Arts, the Fine and Performing Arts Center, the recital hall, and that holds about 850, 860 people. And because of the size of this freshman class, which is for over 1,400, give yourselves a hand. We've had to move to this building, and we could have opened both sides, but we figured we'd put people on the floor. I can't get this right. Maybe you can hear me better than I can hear me, I don't know. But you know, I had the opportunity to welcome many of you this past summer at orientation. And if you remember, I talked about, once in a while, the fact that being the president of the university, I'm required to wear maroon. And then I mentioned to a group of you that I forgot that I had, the only thing I didn't have were maroon pants, and I wasn't sure I ever wanted maroon pants and maroon socks. And so Dr. Ramirez was very kind and went out and bought me maroon socks. So now I can wear maroon socks as part of my job. But I want to welcome you all again to Texas A&M International and the Texas A&M International University family. As I talked about it, we are a family. This university is a family, the faculty, the staff, and the students. We are a family, and we're all committed to the same goals. That is to make sure you have an education which leads you to the next step in your lives, and to be successful as an individual as you leave us. Plutarch, the Greek historian and a student of Plato, wrote that the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Over the next 4 years, and I will stress 4 years, you will have multiple opportunities to have that fire kindled and rekindled by new knowledge, exciting ideas, and intriguing concepts that will challenge you and your beliefs, that will inspire you to reach new heights, and will change you forever. The next 4 years will be among the most exhilarating and thought-provoking times of your life. These fires will be stoked by an outstanding faculty and staff who are passionate about teaching, about challenging you, about inspiring you, and about stimulating your mind. You will hear from one of these outstanding faculty members in a few minutes. I encourage you to seek out and engage the faculty, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. Faculty members are involved in exciting research, scholarship, and creative activities. You can work with them in their search for new knowledge, but you have to seek them out. You should do it. It will help you to go beyond where you are. You will also have multiple opportunities over the next 4 years to take part in activities on the campus that will enrich your lives in other ways. You need to take advantage of them. Become involved in the leadership programs on campus. Join a club or an organization. Join student government. Attend athletic events. We have one this evening. So we're going to tear this down and have a volleyball game this evening. Become involved on the Texas A&M International University campus. We have lots of things here going on a daily basis. We have wonderful speakers that come onto this campus. We have wonderful fine art events and performing art events. This is really a lively campus. Take part in all of that. Finally, I urge you to learn a new language, human or machine. It will make you more marketable. Study abroad. It will expand your perspectives and it will, as you'll hear in a little while, it will change your life. I want to leave you with this quote from Charles Schulz, the creator of the Peanuts cartoons. Try not to have too much fun. This is supposed to be educational. However, the fun in and of learning is necessary for the kindling of that fire. Good luck this year, and please make sure that you can get engaged with faculty.
I now invite to the podium your other president, this year's president of the Student Government Association, Mr. Pedro Rivera.
Good morning, Dust Devils. It is truly an honor and a tremendous privilege to be standing before you and to officially welcome you to Texas A&M International University. Allow me to begin by congratulating you for choosing one of the best universities in the state. With so many universities available to you, you have chosen a university that is genuinely committed and dedicated to your success. When you first arrived, you were greeted by our beautiful green campus. And trust me when I say that it's a tough thing to do in Laredo. Furthermore, I am sure that many of you were amazed at the sights of the nature and the wildlife that we have here on campus as well. As you continue to explore this wonderful campus, you will meet faculty and administrators that display something that cannot be measured, that cannot be seen, that cannot be touched. It is their passion and dedication to share their knowledge and experiences with you to ensure your success as a Dust Devil. 3 years ago, I was sitting down all the way in the back for my convocation ceremony. And if I am being completely honest, I'm still able to recall the mixed feelings that I felt about the ceremony. On one hand, I was extremely happy that I was able to not attend class because of this. I was happy I was able to skip. On the other hand, I said to myself, what am I doing here? I would rather be in class. Yet, as I started to pay attention to what the people up here were telling me, I started to realize just how important this day was for my academic life and ultimately my life after graduation. It was at my own convocation that I was challenged and told, perhaps even invited to an extent, that one day it could be me standing up here, being the most involved student that I could possibly be. And here I am today, extending this invitation to you all. The first point I would like to make is that here at TAMIU, it all begins with you. You have the power to transform this university and your overall experience here for yourself and for your fellow Dust Devils. I invite you to not be afraid to speak up and to give a voice to your thoughts. Your greatest contribution to our international community are your ideas, regardless of how different they may seem. You and I, you and the person next to you, together, we can make a positive change happen. In regards to your academics, I would advise each and one of you to manage your time carefully. Don't procrastinate, but most importantly, always follow your passion. I invite you to not only serve yourself, but also others, because I can assure you that there is no greater satisfaction than helping others grow and helping them succeed. I invite you to get involved in multiple ways. Join a student organization that represents your interests, become a research assistant or a student mentor. I invite you to participate in university activities, attend our athletic events, and our fine arts events. I would also like to remind you that you're not alone here at TAMIU. I invite you to seize and take advantage of the opportunities this amazing university has to offer. There are countless resources all around the university that are solely dedicated to your success as a Dust Devil. I can assure you that our many advisors, counselors, and professors are eager to ensure that you're on track towards earning your degree. I invite you to take advantage of all the services the well-trained employees at the Learning and Writing Centers offer to enhance your overall academic experience and reinforce any skills that you may already have. I invite you to explore and take advantage of these valuable resources made available to you. The journey that you just started commenced for me about 3 years ago. and will soon conclude. I invite you to go beyond and invite all of you to strive to be the greatest students this university has ever seen. I invite you to seize every opportunity that comes your way, whether it is a study abroad program, a scholarship, or that extra credit opportunity that your professor mentions in class. I invite you to love the sense of unity and dedication this institution offers for your success. But most importantly, just like me, I invite you to acquire an unconditional love for this institution, your alma mater. Thank you, and welcome to Texas A&M International University.
Every year, each college nominates exceptional classroom teachers to compete for the TAMIU Distinguished Teacher of the Year Award. The winner this year is a native of Switzerland and the first graduate of our Master of Arts program in Spanish. She later went on to be inducted into Phi Kappa Phi while earning a PhD in Hispanic Studies at Texas A&M University. All the while, she was teaching here at TAMIU. Gregarious and student-oriented, she is popular among faculty as well as students. Her department chair had this to say about her. Her greatest asset as a teacher is her empathy that allows her to forge meaningful connections with her students, facilitating an environment of deep learning. If you get a chance, take her class in Cervantes or one of her translation classes. You will not regret it. Please welcome our Distinguished Teacher of the Year for 2018, Associate Professor of Spanish and Translation, Dr. Lola Norris.
President Arenas, Provost Mitchell, Associate Provosts, College Deans, Department Chairs, Administrators, esteemed faculty colleagues and staff, and especially Class of 2022. Grüezi miteinander. I say Grüezi miteinander, which means greetings to everybody in Swiss German, the language that I grew up speaking. Repeat after me. Grüezi miteinander. Wonderful, very good. Great enunciation. So now that you have mastered greeting in Swiss German, I'm going to teach you how to yodel. No, not really. Don't worry. Class of 2022. Welcome to Texas A&M International University, lovingly known as TAMIU. Wow, it's fantastic to see all of you, all 1,400 of you here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, on our beautiful campus, ready to embark on your adventure in higher education. You have chosen TAMIU, a fine, award-winning university, and we're ecstatic to have you in our classrooms and share our knowledge with you. We look forward to seeing you grow and excel in your classes, become writers, artists, musicians, scientists, engineers, teachers, businessmen and women, health professionals, and much more. Universities are the centers of new and original thought and ideas. They are founded on a core conviction that ideas, their development, and their transmission are what is ultimately most important in the world. We want you to use your time at TAMIU to learn and discover, to become critical thinkers and researchers, to prepare for your chosen careers, but also to follow your passion and quench your curiosity by taking courses in disciplines that are perhaps completely new to you. You will need to study very hard, but you will also have the opportunity to engage in fun extracurricular activities and important service to the community. You will meet new people, make new friends, and get to know professors that will challenge you and inspire you and help you go beyond. All of this will make your university experience rich and meaningful. Take advantage of the activities, the programs, and support system our university offers. And remember, the faculty are here for you. There is no more important responsibility for faculty members than teaching and working with students. Talk to your professors. Visit them during their office hours. Make the most of your time at TAMIU and grow and discover. When I came to TAMIU 25 years ago, when I came to Laredo 25 years ago, as a graduate student, I must admit I didn't like the city at all. People may say that I drank the water and stayed. Now, so many years later, this is my new home. Interestingly, I'm probably the only person in Laredo who loves long Laredo summers. For me, the hotter, the better. I love 3-digit temperatures. Believe me, after growing up in Switzerland, surrounded by snow and ice, I love the sun. You will never hear me complain about the heat. Quite to the contrary, I relish it. I will let you in on a secret. When I leave Laredo in the evening, after having worked all day, while my car has been baking in the sun, I typically sit in the hot car, doors closed, for several minutes before turning on the AC. It's like a personal sauna. It feels wonderful. You should try it. We have a lot of common, you and me. Like many of you, I come from an immigrant family. My parents left Spain to carve a better life for their family in Switzerland. Later, as an adult, I immigrated to the United States after marrying my late husband, who was an American Indian. Like many of you, I grew up in a multicultural environment, speaking more than one language. And one of the things I love about Laredo, besides the heat, is that it is a vibrant, bilingual, bicultural community. Here at TAMIU, we proudly wear the adjective international as part of our university's name, as an important element of our identity. So, my advice to you, dear class of 2022, that even rhymes, is to internationalize yourself. Many of you grew up speaking Spanish and English. That's a great advantage in our global society. Own your bilingualism. It doesn't matter what your chosen field of study or career is, whether you are a biologist or an engineer, a historian or an accountant, a teacher or a nurse. Being fluent in more than one language makes you more knowledgeable and more marketable in the 21st century. You will have a better chance at landing your dream job if you bring additional language skills to the table. My challenge to you is to improve your existing language skills in both Spanish and English while you are here at our university. Become a better writer, a more nuanced speaker, expand your vocabulary, improve your grammar, your pronunciation. Take Spanish courses to polish your skills. Consider a double major that includes a language. For example, criminal justice and Spanish, mathematics and English. But don't stop there. Become trilingual, quadrilingual even. Challenge yourself by taking courses in French or Italian or German or Mandarin. Use the Killam Library resources to practice on your own. As a TAMIU student, you have access to Mango Languages, a program with an app that allows you to practice your language outside of the classroom. Set yourself apart from others by being fluent, both orally and in writing, in other languages besides English. My other piece of advice is to study abroad. Your question should not be whether you will study abroad, but where you will study abroad. TAMIU has an impressive offering of study abroad programs. The most popular ones are the faculty-led programs, which are TAMIU courses taught by TAMIU faculty in a foreign country. How awesome is it that you could be walking on the Great Wall of China while taking a TAMIU course, or eating a croissant at a bistro in Paris while earning academic credit, or teaching children how to read in India while working towards your degree. Study abroad is a life-changing educational experience. You will never be the same after a study abroad program. Not only do you grow academically and professionally, you become a better human being, more tolerant and sensitive to the needs of others. You learn to see situations from other perspectives and points of view. You come to appreciate other peoples and cultures, but you also come to appreciate your own as you learn about yourself and how you fit into society. Studying abroad is an investment in your education with an immense and immediate return. It will never be as easy to travel abroad as traveling now as a TAMIU student. There are scholarships and loans, but both institutional and external support of your studies, and everything is organized for you. This is an experience that nobody can ever take away from you. So, start saving, visit the study abroad office, plan ahead, and decide what is your destination. India, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Spain, France, England, Russia, Greece, Peru, Argentina, Chile, Belize, Costa Rica. Too many programs to mention, too many countries to choose from. The world is your oyster. Carpe diem. Unlock the opportunities. Become the international you. Thank you.
I've known you for a long, long time, and I didn't know you sat in a car at 106 degrees without turning on the air conditioner. That is weird, I have to say. My wife's kind of like that, though. She likes the temperature up on the thermostat. I like it down, so we battle all day long, you know. The Senator Dr. Judith A. Zaffarini Faculty Award for Leadership and Scholarship recognizes a faculty member who is an excellent teacher, scholar, and campus leader. This year's recipient of the Faculty Zaffirini Award certainly lives up to that description. He has a consistently strong teaching record. His students rate him and his classes high semester after semester, almost all of his classes receiving a 4.6 or higher on the 5-point scale. As a scientist, he has been remarkably successful since joining TAMIU 17 years ago. He has co-authored 32 refereed articles, 4 book chapters, and more conference presentations than I cared to count on his CV. In support of his research, he has been a leader among the faculty in obtaining external grant funding for his research, well over $2 million and counting. He has been equally successful in serving TAMIU as a faculty leader. A member of the Faculty Senate for 12 years, most of them in leadership positions, he is now serving his second term as president of the Faculty Senate. Though he earned a master's degree at Tulane University in New Orleans as they say, a doctorate at the University of Tennessee, and though he has taught here in South Texas for 17 years, he still speaks with the unmistakable accent of his hometown, Baston. This year's recipient of the Zaffirini Faculty Award for Leadership and Scholarship is Professor of Geology, Dr. Ken Tobin. Well deserved, Ken. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Conchita Hickey, Dean Emeritus of University College, to speak to you about reading the globe. Dr. Hickey?
You are a beautiful sight, class of 2022. You really are. It's just lovely to see this whole place completely full. This year, we're celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Reading the Globe. We've gone to many interesting places on our journey, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the administration for all their support, the president and the vice presidents and all the deans, because really this is a partnership that requires the support of many for it to occur. I want to mention that this year we went to Russia and Austria, and the book that we talked about was focused on a Jewish immigrant who had to leave Russia. And I don't think we could have chosen a better topic or a better book for our times because of the world that we are living in, the issues that we are facing today. So we feel very fortunate that we were able to take a group of 14 students to Russia and Vienna so that they could get exposed to some of those ideas as we traveled and heard academic lectures. I want to mention also that you'll hear some references to the fact that we had a little bit of a hiccup at the airport. There was a tragic accident the day that we were supposed to leave. And so our itinerary got a little short, and we had to make some adjustments, and we were not able to stay in Moscow as long as we had hoped, but we made up for it in Vienna. In any case, you may hear some references. But I also want to thank, in particular, Anna Clement, who is sitting right there, very humbly. She accompanied us on our trip, and she carried equipment all the time and was always on the job taking photos and videos, which you will enjoy today. So my thanks to everyone who has made this program possible. And I just want to tell you that you will enjoy the show. The students have been working very hard for this presentation today, and I hope you enjoy it. I know they learned an awful lot on their trip, and they had fun as well. Thank you so much.
I remember coming last fall semester, sitting in the same seat as you and wondering, what is the point of this? But after listening to the presentation by the Reading the Globe students who traveled to China and South Korea as freshmen, I decided to enter the competition. I had always dreamed about traveling across the world, and when the opportunity presented itself, I realized I had nothing to lose. Let's start from the beginning. Every year, freshmen are required to take a seminar class and read a book. Last year, we read A Backpack, a Bear, and 8 Crates of Vodka by Lev Lincoln. At first, I had to force myself to read the book, but then I slowly got hooked. Lev was only 9 years old when he had to leave the Ukraine and immigrate to the United States for being a Jew. His memoir recalls his painful childhood, his struggle with self-identity, and his acculturation to the United States. When I got chosen, I couldn't believe it. I called my mom the instant I found out, and although both my parents were scared, they let me go. The day I first met the rest of the chosen RTG ambassadors, I regretted saying yes. I felt like an outsider. I was the only one from Roma, but I soon realized I had made the right choice. I ended up sharing a special bond with my fellow ambassadors, and I learned so much. Time flew by. Before I knew it, I was in a different country, over 6,000 miles away from Laredo. Our first stop was Moscow. From there, we took an overnight train to St. Petersburg and then flew to Vienna, Austria. It was the beginning of an amazing adventure I will always cherish.
Moscow was the first city we visited. Considering the fact that we were only there for a day, we saw many significant sights. Our first stop was the Red Square, the largest in the world. It was astonishing that we were standing on the same square that Tsars and revolutionaries had stood on through centuries. Next to it is St. Basil's Cathedral, with its well-known colorful domes, which serve as a Soviet anti-God display. The most interesting and perhaps challenging place we visited was the Moscow Bunker, which is 18 levels below the ground, and without elevators. That was a physical challenge. We visited the launch center, where we simulated bombing the US a couple of times, the control room, and Stalin's personal office. He never got to see it, for he died a couple of years before its completion. All in all, Moscow was a surprisingly colorful city. Thus, it challenged the dark and secretive stereotype built around it. To be told, Moscow was surprisingly colorful, and I can't help but wonder how many more places we could have visited had we stayed longer.
Culture is built through generations of people who share something in common, whether it be food, music, religion, or language. I'm sure everyone in the audience can identify aspects of their culture if asked to. But when people are not knowledgeable about other cultures, we tend to build stereotypes about foreign cultures that are not necessarily true. My trip to Russia allowed me to open my mind to a whole new world. Russia is a land of resilient people who have survived centuries of adversity, and their strength is clearly apparent. They may be portrayed as hostile towards Americans at times, but the people we met were more than welcoming. From the very beginning, the Russian people were already breaking preconceived notions I held about them. Entering their world, which seemed alien at first, slowly grew on me. Everything, from food to climate to fashion, was different. This trip made me step outside of my comfort zone. It is easy to let barriers separate us, especially when being exposed to so many new things that are non-existent in American culture. But no matter how many differences exist, I realized that at least one thing connects us: our humanity. No matter how hard we try, we can never shake the similarity we share with all people. As a result, I learned that the Russians are a proud people, with much to be proud of in terms of their art, architecture, and rich history. Some of their crowning achievements are the royal palaces of their imperial age. Russia's former imperial capital of St. Petersburg houses the Winter Palace and Catherine Summer Palace. I recall fondly our arrival at each. The blistering cold and falling snow provided a distraction prior to our arrival. It did not take long, however, for the monumental palaces to capture my attention. They were breathtaking and are truly some of the most beautiful man-made structures in the world. As gorgeous as the palaces are architecturally, their true value rests in the rich historical artifacts displayed inside. To fully encapsulate their beauty, it is important to lay out some context. The construction of these palaces began after the reign of Tsar Peter the Great in the early 18th century. He is praised for bringing about Russia's imperial age, which would westernize Russia to compete with the other European powers. The palaces are a glimpse into the past of the Romanov family, and by extension, Imperial Russia. The lavish design of the interiors use the Baroque style, like the palaces of France. Both palaces are decorated with an abundance of gold, extravagant paintings, and all sorts of luxuries. Peter's dream to create marvels to rival those of Europe was certainly accomplished, even if it happened years later, under the rule of Tsarina Elizabeth. After leaving the Winter Palace and the Summer Palace, the ambassadors and I were stunned, not only by its beauty, but by its rich history as well.
Can you imagine a student who's in the exact same shoes as you, living a completely different life because of his or her culture? Little did I know I would soon have the opportunity to reflect on this. Since I had never before traveled out of the United States, I had never experienced other cultures. So it wasn't until I met fellow Russian peers that reality hit me. An event was organized that allowed us to sit around a table with 2 or 3 Russian students from St. Petersburg University. At this event, we were asked to discuss typical American and Russian stereotypes, such as Russians never smiling and Americans maybe smiling a little too much. We learned that we use these stereotypes to make meaning and create understanding of other cultures and other people. So we make assumptions about how people who are from different cultures live. However, by the end of the session, most stereotypes were dispelled and the stories behind them were shared. At a certain point, the workshop leader flashed a picture of an angry grizzly bear in a soldier uniform, and the Russian students immediately began laughing because they knew that it was a stereotypical image of Russians. We were then able to share and exchange all our cultural backgrounds and learn from one another. Meeting and speaking with my new friends, Vlada and Nikita, has definitely widened my view on many levels and encouraged me to learn more about the array of cultures in our world. It was completely enlightening and eye-opening. Now, I can say I have friends from Russia, and Vlada and Nikita have friends in America. Borders and boundaries set limits, but crossing them is what brings us together.
"1917 was a turning point in Russian history. The fall of Tsar Nicholas II, the assassination of the Romanov family, and the rise of Lenin and the Bolsheviks were events that shocked the world. Learning about the importance of Lenin and the Bolsheviks in the first years of the USSR, in a lecture given by a Russian professor, helped me understand history from a different perspective. St. Petersburg, renamed Leningrad in 1924 after the death of Lenin, was not only the place of birth of the former USSR, it is also where one of the most disturbing events in human history happened, the siege of Leningrad. During World War II, German troops sieged the city, isolating it from the rest of the Soviet Union. And for 900 days, Leningrad witnessed destruction, hunger, desperation, and over 1 million deaths. Walking the same streets that testify to the fear, the horror, but also the courage and the strength that the Russian people felt, makes the stories that I learned from books real. Stepping on Victory Square and visiting the monument to the heroic defenders of Leningrad were bittersweet experiences. These places proudly honor the sacrifice of the Russian people, but they also made us aware of how painful it is for present-day citizens to recall their suffering. Victory Square and the monument to the heroic defenders of Leningrad are reminders of the ruthlessness that humanity is capable of committing, but they are also statements of the determination of the human species to survive.
Every day, I became more entranced with the arts and architecture abroad. For one, the buildings and residences decorated with intricate shapes and complex patterns reflected the lavish lifestyles past rulers of the country once enjoyed. One of the most impressive architectural landmarks we visited was St. Isaac's Cathedral in St. Petersburg. Inside, the walls are covered in handcrafted mosaics and majestic replicas of paintings that were restored due to their natural aging process. Later, we had the opportunity to attend a ballet performance at the Mariinsky Theater. We witnessed 30 ballerinas gracefully perform Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. Their grace, athleticism, and magical storytelling changed my perspective of this art form. I now appreciate the work, love, and effort a production like this entails. The Heritage Museum, housed in the Winter Palace, hosts some famous works of world-renowned artists such as Da Vinci's The Benoit Madonna and the Lita Madonna, Raphael's Madonna Contestabile, and Michelangelo's Unfinished Crouching Boy, just to name a few. Learning about Russia's appreciation of the arts has been very enlightening, and I can wholeheartedly say I would love to go back to explore the depths of it.
In the USSR, Jews were singled out for their ethnicity. These sentiments led to the USSR's use of Nazi-like propaganda against them, accusing the Jews of being dangerous and treacherous citizens of the Soviet Union. As a result of their cultural oppression and the ban on all religions imposed by the USSR, families like Lev's had no connection to their religion. One of the few remnants of the Jewish faith in Russia today is the Moscow Cross Synagogue, founded in 1891. It was the only synagogue allowed to operate during the Soviet era in Moscow, an attempt by the regime to appear less anti-Semitic. As we walked into the synagogue, we could feel the pride this community has for their place of worship, since it had been so dangerous for them during the Soviet era to practice their faith. One of the nonprofit organizations that supported the Jewish community during the Soviet regime was the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or HIAS. This American nonprofit organization provided humanitarian aid and assistance to refugees then and still does today. This organization works with people whose lives and freedom are believed to be at risk due to war, persecution, or violence. To show our support of HIAS and the refugees they are currently giving aid to, TAMIU's very own knitting club handcrafted a variety of scarves and beanies as a gift for the refugees, which we delivered personally. During our discussions with HIAS, a spokeswoman said something that I believe set the tone for our trip. She reminded us that the violation of human rights is not just a Jewish issue or one from the past, but an ever-present threat that we must acknowledge so that we can prevent abuses from happening in the future.
A 2.5-hour flight took us to our next stop, Vienna. We only stayed for 4 days, but the experiences we gained are timeless. During our walking tour, we noted the old and new world features gracing the bustling city. The Ring Road, the Augustinian Church, and St. Stephen's Cathedral. Turning into Hildensplatz, Hero Square, we ended up in the newer part of the Imperial Palace, Hitler's grand stage where he proclaimed the homecoming of Austria at the 1938 Anschluss. There, 250,000 ecstatic Viennese cheered him on. It was the birthplace of Nazi Vienna. Next, we made our way to Judenplatz, the center of Jewish life in Vienna from the Middle Ages to Hitler's rise. Now, it is considered a place of remembrance. In the center of the courtyard stands the Shoah Memorial. It models a library whose books hold shelves, their spines facing inwards, so the contents of the books are never revealed. and therefore the volumes are unknown. It speaks of a cultural space of memory and loss created by the genocide of the Viennese Jews. But Vienna's past does not define its present. Instead, it is defined by a beautiful experience of old and contemporary world culture, unlike anywhere else.
While in Vienna, we had the opportunity to explore some of the city's rich art history. We visited 2 museums which helped us understand how art movements are influenced by the societal changes happening at the time and why it matters. The first was the Kunstheritage Museum, which mostly housed paintings of the Renaissance and Baroque movements. These are paintings that mostly portray Christian stories through a European lens to appeal to the religious rulers of the time. Although this was the case throughout the Kunstmuseum, many artists of the time also portrayed the struggles found within the lower class people of Europe, such as Peter Bruegel's The Peasant Wedding. The second museum was the Albertina, which is home for more contemporary paintings. Movements such as Impressionism, Surrealism, and German Expressionism were used as tools by 20th century artists to express not only their inner struggles, but also the woes of the ever-changing world around them. This opened my eyes to events in Austrian history I had no knowledge of, and it gave me a much more personal understanding of them than if I would have just read about them in a textbook. Immersing yourself in a country's art allows you to gain new perspectives. It broadens your mind to new ideas and incites emotions you maybe had not engaged with before. It is one aspect of the trip that has stuck with me throughout the months, and it is an opportunity I will be forever thankful for.
While in Vienna, we had the opportunity to hear a lecture by Dr. Wolfgang Müller in the University of Vienna. I was eager to learn more about the Jewish community struggle migrating from the USSR. The professor enlightened us on the historic relationship between the Soviet Union, Jewish migration, and Austria. We then went to see the Lipizzan horses from the Spanish riding school perform. They were not only beautiful, but also hold a special history. Founded in 1572, the Spanish riding school is the oldest and last riding school in the world where classic dressage is still practiced in its purest form. The Lipizzaner, whose origin is Spanish, is the oldest classic racehorse in Europe. Today, the Lipizzaner need to undergo elaborate training before they are able to perform their prancing to the sound of classical music. Our last year in Vienna, we finally went to the marketplace I had been hoping to visit since our arrival. We divided into small groups and began exploring, and as we walked by all the different stands, I was amazed at the variety of goods. Fresh seafood, vibrant spices, pastries, cheeses, and even chocolates of all kinds wrapped in beautiful art. From the market, we could see Vienna's many colorful buildings, and as we walked over a bridge on our way back, I was mesmerized by the simple yet beautiful view. I learned so much from all of these experiences, so I encourage you freshmen to seek your own opportunities to travel abroad.
Nothing is more unique to a country or culture than its gastronomy. We were able to discover this firsthand as we tasted diverse traditional foods, such as mors, a drink made of various berries, beef stroganoff, borscht, a traditional beet soup that is unique from family to family, and Wiener Schnitzel, which is similar to Milanesa. In Russia, we feasted at a Georgian restaurant, a Cossack restaurant, and we even dined in a former palace. My personal favorite was the Cossack restaurant, which was decorated with portraits of children in military-style uniforms and 80s-style televisions. That night was truly a cultural immersion because we were delighted to hear a traditional song being played on the accordion. In Vienna, at our farewell dinner, the dim lights and red velvet curtains added an elegant touch to a Viennese traditional meal. Through this experience, I was able to immerse myself with the two countries' traditional dishes. Food ended up being so much more than just food. Eating foreign foods taught me that we can find new favorites no matter where we are, and that we can overcome cultural barriers through this experience. Had it not been for the countless meals and laughs exchanged, our friendships might not have been as strong, and we owe it all to food.
Stepping foot in a different environment across the world allowed me to identify the best part of traveling. For me, traveling means individual growth. Growth that can have an immense impact on one's future. This trip granted me the opportunity to experience my first ride in an overnight train and various attempts of trying to understand the tram systems. Although one may consider transportation in foreign countries as insignificant moments, I found that these very experiences contributed much to my growth. Alongside the frigid weather, trying to find our way in Russia and Austria allowed me to see the different ways in which our world functions. Observing the different cultures and diving into the traditions helped me understand the value of traveling. From every plane ride, train ride, and bus ride, the excitement just kept growing, and this ignited my drive of wanting to see it all. The skills I acquired from trying to find the nearest pizzeria or jumping off at the right metro stop have provided me with the curiosity to embark upon other adventures in the world. As a matter of fact, I will be leaving to Germany for a year of study abroad this month. I realize now that when I forced myself to disrupt my known lifestyle, traveling became the only means of allowing enrichment and growth into my life.
Our trip is best described as an adventure, full of both losses and gains. We began by losing our first flight because of a tragic accident, but thankfully, we gained new tickets. Some ambassadors lost their fear of planes as they flew for the first time and gained confidence for the 6 flights that followed. We all lost our ability to readily communicate, but together, we gained skill over time to use basic phrases in both Russian and German. And after so many years, I lost my habit of rejecting new foods, and I gained a new palate and a realization that there are so many delicious meals out there. We all lost the preconceptions and stereotypes that we held about Russia as we gained a great appreciation for this beautiful nation and its residents. But most important were the friendships we gained, ones which will follow us the rest of our days at TAMIU and beyond. I will treasure every laugh, every memory, and every smile and experience which brought me closer to this precious group of students. And I thank the Lord for blessing me with this truly remarkable opportunity, which now is extended to you. You have the choice of whether or not you want to embark on a truly once-in-a-lifetime journey. So pick up the pen and write the essay. After all, you have nothing to lose. No, you have so much to gain.
Thank you. Very impressive. Let me reiterate. Read the book, write the essay. All of them were sitting where you're sitting last year. Also read a book I'm going to recommend to you, Walden by Henry David Thoreau. In that book, in the closing chapter, chapter 18, he writes, "If you had built your castles in the air Good. That is where they belong. Now put the foundations under them. Dream big, build your castles in the air, but then work hard to put your foundations under them, to make those dreams a reality. That is why you're here at TAMIU, to imagine and reimagine yourself and the dreams that you have for yourself, but also for your family, your current family, and your future family. So acquire all the knowledge and all the intellectual and communication skills and the work habits that will be the foundation for whatever dreams that you have. Make the most of this opportunity. Most of you are very, very young, and you will have only a few years in your life where you can devote full time to your studies. And your studies and what you learn and what you accomplish will influence the rest of your life. So make the most of your time. This concludes our convocation ceremony. Please stand, hold on. Please stand and join Daniela Sanchez in singing the Alma Mater. The Alma Mater will be immediately followed. Now listen carefully. Hold on, listen carefully. After the Alma Mater, we will have a recessional of the executive officers, the deans, the chairs, and all the faculty. Please wait until we leave the building. Are you listening? Please wait until we leave the building before you go to class or whatever you plan to do. Thank you and have a great 4 years.